Okay, hopefully the stream is working. Alright, so I've switched up some settings for the stream, including the fact that I'll be working on Mint today instead of my normal Mac OS. And so hopefully we can actually get this running on Mint. So hope everyone also had a good New Year. If you're watching this, I don't think anyone's watching now, but if at any point in the future anyone is, hope you had a good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Alright, let's get the tunes going. Yeah, so I think when we left off, let's see. Tommy Sotomayor's mama, I ignore you on LinkedIn. If I do, I apologize. I ignore almost everyone on LinkedIn. Please don't take that personally. Alright, so let's see here. Yeah, so Wake Engine. Alright, so what we want to do is actually recap where we're at first of all. And I can see that that's incredibly small. So I'm also going to try to make that a little bit larger. Also, I'd like to run in full screen mode on the VM. I should probably just run the OBS from within Mint. Alright, so there's going to be a few setup hiccups this evening, but I hope everyone's doing well. I fixed some bugs since last we spoke, and so what we're going to do is head over to GitHub. And I'm going to try to bump up the size of the terminal, although to be honest with you, Mint is still a pretty new OS for me. But let's see if I can fix some of this. By the way, I think we should just be able to run on Mint. If I type Python 3 game.py, actually we need a cd into wake, and Python 3 game.py, no module named wake. For now, what we'll do is go up a directory and run pip install -e dot. It's probably pip3 install. New operating system. Oh, it's rough. How about Python 3 pip install -e dot? No module name pip. Alright, so we got to get pip installed on the new OS before this all starts running. And I realize the resolution is whack right now, which I'll fix that momentarily as well. Cannot obtain lock file, unable to, oh my gosh. I wonder if I have pip here. I do have pip here. Alright, so what if we just Python 3 game.py here. No such file or directory. cd into wake. Python 3 game.py. No module name this, so we'll try pip3 install -e dot. Okay, finally. Okay, cool. So this actually runs here. If we play something like e2, e4, pieces are moving, so that's looking good. e7, e5, g1, f3. Oops, that's an illegal move. g1, f3. All right, so it looks like the engine is actually running. A couple things I want to do is first just bump up the size of the terminal. Does anyone know how to actually do that in Mint? Mint terminal size. Preferences. Global. Probably in profiles. Alright, columns, custom font, monospace, regular. Yes, this is what we want, except we want size like 32 or something probably. Select. Close. Alright, much better. Okay, so a couple of things since we've left. For one thing, I am now running let's run this in Tmux, by the way. And I'll just keep this open on the left side. Python 3. So I'm actually multi-processing now. And I think what I want to work on today is more related to multi-processing. So right now, let's take a look at the code. Game.py is what got the most work. And also this VM is pretty slow. This might be a little bit of a rough stream. Alright, so let's see here. I should have gotten this set up earlier, apologize. Alright, so the way that game is working now is actually pretty interesting. Going to have to find a faster way to run this in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and actually stop the server from running. So I have a single mode, which is UCI mode, and I have an input and an output multiprocessing queue. And so at this point, I think we have two processes running. We have the process that's running the GUI and the process that is running the engine. And so the GUI's job is just to refresh and clear with every move, and the engine's job is to receive input that the state has changed and then analyze the position. There is a little bit of a caveat here. So let's look at what the queues are doing right now. So there's a while true loop, which basically runs the game. It waits for a sentinel message called kill if we're trying to stop everything so that it just cleans up. But otherwise, we're starting a reader process and an engine process. And the reader process is the reader proc method. So we can look at what that's doing. So we have an engine proc and a reader proc. Engine proc is pretty straightforward. It's just newing up a game. And it has access to two queues, both multiprocessing queues. So that's how we get inter-process communication. The interface mode for now is always UCI. So I'm trying to program against UCI for when we have a proper UI input. And then the other process is running, what's the other process? Let's see here. So I'll figure out why my VM is so slow in a moment. Reader proc. Okay, so the other process is basically just running a while true loop, and it's reading standard in. And it's going to dump whatever we put in standard in on the input queue. Input queue is going to be used by the parent process to pass that to the engine. So a couple of things I want to do here is, first I want to figure out why we're running so slow on the VM. So I'm actually going to close the VM for a moment. Got a bunch of memory. We don't need a floppy disk or an optical drive. I'm going to give it a bunch more memory. And I don't know enough about VMs to know what I/O APIC is. Which machine will support input-output APIC, which may slightly decrease performance. Yeah, we're going to disable that. Hardware clock, I'm not sure. Chipset, I'm not sure if that's going to make any difference. Video memory, a bunch of video memory, and yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this makes it a little bit less laggy. If it doesn't, we'll just have to deal with it for now. But yeah, pretty excited about the multiprocessing aspect of the engine at this point. That lets us run. Really, we should only need. Really, what I would like to be able to do is to use multiprocessing for the engine itself and just run the UI on a separate thread, since that should just be pure I/O. With Python, we have the global interpreter lock, but the multiprocessing. The built-in multiprocessing module allows us to do quite a lot. Okay, Mint is booting. Wow, this one's off to a slow start. Come on, Mint. Running on a Windows machine today instead of Mac OS, which is why I'm running this in a VM. Running the NumPy on Windows is like a nightmare, so for me anyway. If that doesn't work, in the meantime, I could just try to get this running on Windows while Mint is booting, but I kind of doubt that that's actually going to work very well. Alright, Mint is taking some sweet time to open up. While that is going, I am going to clone down what we have on the Windows machine as well. But yeah, I don't have high hopes that this will work very well on Windows, at least not at the moment. Reset Mint. Alright, so let's see what happens when we Python 3. Do I have virtual env on this? No. That's alright. What we'll do is we'll try to cd into wake, Python, do I have pip3? Yes, pip3 install -e dot. Okay, so that works. cd into wake, Python 3 game.py. Permission denied. Hopefully I don't have to go through the effort of reinstalling Python on Windows. Working with Python on Windows is pretty much not a good time. Wow, that's just hanging. What about PowerShell? Okay, PowerShell's happier. So what if I cd into... Actually curious as to what this looks like in PowerShell. Oh my goodness. How do you... Oh man, I don't have to learn PowerShell commands either. Goodness me. We're gonna kill that process. cd into wake python game.py. Okay, yeah, numpy errors. The current numpy installation fails to pass a sanity check due to a bug in the Windows runtime. See this issue for more details. Copy. Paste and go. I don't know why Mint is letting me down all of a sudden as well. Okay, this is a fairly new issue in terms of numpy. So what can we do about it? I would like people who are running on Windows to actually be able to run the chess engine. Numpy has released a bug fix in 1.19.3. Alright. Can we just change requirements.py to do that? I'm running 1.19.4 though, which should be... Alright, we're gonna try this anyway. Pip install -r requirements.txt. Man, I thought that... First of all, I thought that Mint would actually be working. For some reason, the machine isn't working, so we're going to close this for the time being and power it off. Alright, error. Cannot install packages due to environment error. Win error 32. System cannot find the file specified. What about pip3 install? Not find the file specified 39f2pi. Windows pip could not find f2. What do people do who need to use Python on Windows? What do people do? Python-m numpy. What happens when I run this? Python 3-m numpy.f2pi. Wow, okay, well, numpy is causing me to struggle. Apologies for all the issues here. So what do we do to break Mint as well? Oh, probably because I turned off optical and floppy drives. Is that it? If that's it, then I'll be happy. That's all it was. Looks like that's probably all it was. I will save trying to get numpy running on Windows for not streaming. Alright, yeah, but let's take a look while that's booting now in the wake directory at game.py. This is where the most changes have occurred since last time that we looked at this stuff. Failed to send host message. Maybe I have to reinstall Mint. Okay, it looks like maybe it's working, but it's TBD. So a game instance is still just a class. The game in its initializer receives interface mode and then 2 queues. The 2 queues are the multiprocessing queues. Should name them better, but in any case, every instance of the game has a position instance as well as a UCI input parser. And it keeps track of the score of the game for the end, and it also knows whether or not the game is over. But basically the game is in charge of parsing moves and then running some method, passing messages to the queue, to either of the queues, so reading and writing messages from the multiprocessing queues, while the single parent process is running the engine process as well as the board output. And this would be so unfortunate if I started the stream already and now Mint is broken. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We'll go ahead and remove this VM. Oh man, I really don't want to have to recreate a VM just for this, but if we do, we do. What could be the problem? What's the boot order on my Ubuntu instance? Floppy optical hard disk. Settings, system, floppy optical hard disk. We won't boot network. All right, one more try with this guy. We'll do advanced options. See if it runs in recovery mode. Potentially looking better. I realize it's going to be super hard to read. It'll get bigger once we're in, hopefully. I wonder if when Mint runs in recovery mode, if we still get Cinnamon or if it's just going to run headless. In any case, it looks like it's getting further along, so starting journal service. In the meantime, I'm also going to figure out why I can't run NumPy on Windows. What if I bump this way down to like 1.18.0? Pip3 install -r. So Mint is hanging on starting journal service. That's interesting. Alright, hopefully NumPy builds. All I want is one operating system that's not Mac OS to work. Right now it's a battle between Mint and Windows. If I was placing bets, I would say Mint by far would be the one to go with. Okay, yeah, Mint is not looking so good, so we're gonna go ahead and stop that. Cannot install packages due to environment error. System cannot find the file specified. Windows, NumPy, system cannot find the file specified. It is not this DLL as well. Does Conda work? Do I have Conda installed? I don't have Conda installed. Thought I did. Wow, what a mess. All right, come on, Mint. f2pi.exe. Do people not do scientific computing with Python on Windows machines? Surely it is possible. Oh man, I'm debugging 2 errors right now. Alright, so maybe this stream will turn into a Mint installation, which is unfortunate, but we're going to try that. That's our best luck, I think, rather than debug a Windows NumPy issue. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to remove this and delete everything. Start out with a fresh Mint installation. So we should do new, Mint, Linux, start out with Ubuntu 64-bit settings. And we're going to call this Mint New. And we're going to give it a lot more memory this time. Give it 8 gigs. Recommended size of the hard disk is 10 gigs. We'll go ahead and create that. Next. Next. We're going to give it like 100 gigs. Create. Alright, then we'll start. Should have a Mint ISO that it will ask for. It shouldn't take that long. While Mint is installing, I guess while that's happening, I could debug NumPy on Windows problems. Install f2pi Windows. Alright, we're going to select Linux Mint with Cinnamon, which is a 1.8 gig image. We are going to start Linux Mint. Anaconda. The thing is, like, I just want to. I have one dependency for the entire chess engine, and that's NumPy. I don't feel like I really want to install Anaconda, which has like 180 packages, just to get NumPy. But it's looking like I might have to do that. Alright, don't show this message again. Install Linux Mint. We also want to run guest editions. Or whatever it's called. English, continue. English US, continue. I don't care about multimedia codecs. I just want an operating system that runs Python. That isn't Mac OS. All right. Erase disk and install Linux Mint. Yes. If you do all of this is going to happen. Okay. So Mint is happening. What if I install a really old version of NumPy on Windows, on the Windows side? My name is Riverrun, and my computer's name is Riverrun. And my username is Riverrun, and my password is not Riverrun. Let's use a super old version of NumPy. On the Windows side, anyway. So the forum that I read said that 1.19.3 forward was compatible with Windows, but I found that not to be the case, at least on my machine. Okay, what is all this mess? Is there a version of NumPy that works on Windows? Surely I've used one in the past. Command errored out with exit status 1, C Python 39, Python exe, blah blah blah, all this setup tools stuff, install record, check the logs for full command output. It would be nice if they said which logs I should be checking, like a location, for instance. I can't even get an interactive shell. It just like, it completely messes the git bash shell up. What if I, isn't there a bash RC here that I already had to alias the view CLI actually earlier to drop it into WinPTY since it's not a truly interactive shell? What if I run WinPTY Python source bash RC Python? It just destroys the shell. I can't even. Now I remember why I don't develop on Windows, unfortunately. For anything except .NET, I would say. Windows is a pain. At least, certainly for Python projects, it's a pain. And terminal emulation is horrible. PowerShell. I run Python from within PowerShell? I can, no problem there. What happens if I import numpy? Cannot import numpy. The current numpy installation fails to pass a sanity check due to a bug in the Windows runtime. That is painful. I don't want to install the language packs either on. I wonder if pandas works on this one. Isn't numpy a dependency of pandas? Yeah, exactly. Same deal. How do people work with Python for scientific computing on Windows? Does everyone just use Anaconda? Like, it feels like completely, it feels completely overblown to install Anaconda to be able to use numpy on Windows. Open Anaconda 3 with Windows Start menu and select Anaconda 64-bit. This add to bath option makes Anaconda get found before previously installed software. Okay. How are we coming on Mint? 2 minutes remaining according to the installer. Is there a better terminal emulator besides Git Bash, Git for Windows? What about Commander? Is that still a thing? And can I run Bash emulation in it? What's the full version? What's the difference? With Git for Windows. So I already have Git for Windows, so we're going to download the mini version of Commander and see if this is any better. This uses Cygwin, I think, under the hood. Extract all. Commander Mini. Downloaded from the internet. Unblock and continue. Alright, does Python work here? Python works from here. Can we import numpy from here? No, we cannot import numpy from here. At least Python works though. Control D does not work on Windows, I guess. All right, less than a minute remaining on the Mint install. That's good. If anyone watching knows, or if anyone watching does scientific computing on Windows and knows how they get numpy installed, I would be thrilled to understand. I've tried 4 different versions of numpy now, going all the way back to 7 minor version bumps back, and as of yet I'm still struggling. Also updated the docs for the chess engine as well. There was a bit of a bug. Oh, there's a bit of a bug in the docs as well. That looks like the rendering in Firefox in particular, perhaps. Does it look like that in Chrome? I realize that this is a completely blown stream. I apologize for that. Oh, look at that. It's messed up in both of them somehow. Okay, well, something else to fix. Minty, why are you installing LibreOffice? Should have just installed Arch or CentOS. Anaconda, I don't want getting started. I don't want individual edition tutorial. Anaconda Powershell prompt. Anaconda prompt. This is what I want. Did Anaconda do magical numpy installs? Python 3. Import numpy. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Anaconda, you are crushing it right now, except that it's unfortunate that I had to install you to get it working. Alright, so the question is now, if I go into projects, wake, and see into wake, and python game.py. Okay, so pip install -e this. I probably have to conda install. Oh my gosh, it actually works, except that the character encodings don't work on Windows. It's like you get all the way here and then realize that there's another issue on Windows. Alright, at the very least, let's see if I can increase the font size. Alright, well, the Conda shell is as close as we're getting on Windows until Mint is finished installing. What happens if we do E2, E4, E7, E5, G1, F3. Alright, so more or less that's looking reasonable, except for the glyphs not rendering on Windows properly. That'll look better once Mint is set up. How do you CLS on Windows, right? Alright, restart. Mint is so close to actually finishing. I wonder if this is also just a Windows issue, this rendering of these glyphs. I bet that it is, because certainly didn't see that on Mac where I built this, and also I didn't see it in the Mint VM when it was actually running. Okay, well, that bit of yak shaving led us all the way to downloading Commander, downloading Conda, trying 4 different versions of NumPy, and reinstalling Mint. Okay, cool. Let us run guest edition somewhere. How do we install guest editions? It's probably mounted. VBbox CD-ROM file system MNT. Alright, so we'll power the machine off. I didn't really want to save its state, I wanted to power it off. And then we want to install guest editions, Mint, VirtualBox guest editions in Mint. It's in devices, okay. Restoring the state. Devices, insert guest editions. This is going to let us actually increase the resolution so that everyone can see what we're doing here. Run. And then we will also change the display settings to bump up the video memory a bit as well once this is all finished. I like this. I like the Cinnamon GUI over like GNOME, for instance. Although GNOME is fine too, but okay, cool. So guest editions is now installed, I believe, and we can go ahead and power off the machine. And we will go ahead and hit settings here. I'm going to bump up the video memory a bit to 64. We'll do 86 megabytes, I guess. Okay. And we will start it. I guess I could also, hey Anten, what's going on? I guess I could also run Mint headless and then use putty or something, but just nice. You ran Mint in VMware, Anten? I'm giving it a shot now. I had it working earlier, but I messed it up somehow when I changed some VirtualBox settings. But it looks like we're on the right track. I just need to bump up the resolution in a moment. How do you change the resolution? We can go much larger than this. I don't really want to scale it. Automatic. Yes, I installed VirtualBox. Drag the bottom right corner with your mouse and resize it. Try that. Power off the machine. Oh, Anton, you were able to run game.py on Windows? Nice. Yeah, my problem is that NumPy's not working, and I'm wondering if did your glyphs work for the chess pieces? Maybe that's just the... I think I could actually fix that on my side on the Anaconda prompt. I think I just need to change the font to something else, perhaps. Although I would have thought, like, Lucida Console would have had it. What about Courier? CD projects, CD wake, CD wake engine. What's the list? What's the listing directories in PowerShell? I feel like ls in PowerShell. I need to keep this open while I'm working on Windows. No way. Why doesn't ls work on PowerShell? Oh, nothing works on PowerShell. Alright, so max out the video memory? Okay. Thanks for the tip on that. Any idea how to set the resolution? Well, we can figure that out in a moment. I gotta find out which which glyphs actually work here. It's funny that the black pieces have two unknown cars. Wow, one of the Chinese fonts actually works. Use PyCharm to get NumPy working. That's a really good idea, actually. No surprise there, actually. PyCharm is pretty solid. The only character set that's actually rendering the chessboard partly is this Chinese character set, or I believe it's Chinese character set. Yeah, Simsuan is running it. What about MS Gothic? MS Gothic looks pretty sweet actually for the pieces, but I don't know what are these extra glyphs and why that's happening. Man, it is crazy to try to go from a Unix-like environment to back to Windows. I just have a lot to figure out. All right, so how do we get the video memory is maxed out thanks to Anten's suggestion. Question is, how do we get the window size? scaled mode. I don't think we want scaled mode. That looks pretty bad. So close. It's interesting that these resize options to different resolutions are grayed out. Oh, I should give it more than one processor as well. Yeah, guest additions is installed. I could retry installing guest additions. I feel like it worked when I installed it there, but we'll give that another shot. That's a good call. I'll insert guest additions again. I think on my Ubuntu VM, I install guest additions and then just maximize the window and it scales to full screen resolution. Is Mint a fork of Ubuntu? I think that it might be. Alright, we'll try to insert guest additions. Unable to insert media locked. VirtualBox guest additions. Where's all this Windows editions? Gonna try it again. Sorry for the failed stream tonight for anyone who came expecting to see more in-depth chess engine programming, at least to this point. Switching OSs. Running kernel modules not be replaced. The system is restarted. Let's go ahead and restart. It still feels scaled, by the way. Yeah, so this is actually the current open terminal as root. Okay. Will do. Oh look, okay, it's working now. Although I've got a 4K monitor plugged in, so this is going to be probably as big as the VM drivers are going to allow us to go. Okay, not the end of the world. I'll scale it from here. A little bit better. That's funny, Untin, your message got caught by the auto filters on YouTube because apparently it thinks you're trying to run sudo vbox linux editions.run on the chat, which is really funny to me. All right, but thanks for your help. Yeah, installing guest editions worked the second time around. All right. Do I have Git? Let's get the latest packages and then sudo apt get update. Let's do a couple of things here. First, let's scale this a little bit bigger and then just go full screen. By the way, the biggest tip on 10 that you gave me was maxing out the video memory for this guy, and that helps a lot. It was pretty choppy before I did that. Alright, so a couple things that I do want to do is generate an SSH key. We're going to install Git. I'm also going to install Vim because I think it probably comes with VI though. Alright, let's see. I want to go to my profile, my settings. SSH and GPG keys. Alright, we're going to install Tmux and Vim as well. And while that's going, I'll create a profile here that makes the Alright, that's better, and then we'll make the text a bit bigger as well. Is that readable? That's a little too big for me. Okay, cool. Does Tmux work now? Tmux works. Make a projects directory, cd into projects. Need to make an SSH key. Alright, I'm going to make this SSH key on another screen for a moment. Just bear with me while I figure that out really quickly. Oh wow, this is not liking me trying to move it. Alright, we're just going to do it this way. Probably need xclip. So as to be able to discretely copy. Alright, that works. Thanks again for your help, Anton. It's good to see you. Wow, I've been at this for an hour just trying to get Mint set up. To be fair, some of that was trying to get Windows and NumPy working. Although, Anton, I'm glad to hear that the game was working on Windows. Xclip dash selection clipboard. This part doesn't really matter, it's just my public key. Okay, so let us pip install. I don't even know if I have Python. Don't have pip. We have Python. We don't have pip and Python. All right, last steps. Install Python on Mint. What about Python 3? Python 3 is working. What about pip 3? Pip 3 is not found. Install pip on Mint. Okay, sudo app install Python 3 pip. Yes. While that's going, I could go into projects, Wake Engine. The other thing I could do is clone my dot files down. I think I will do that. Let's do that. Interesting to see if the dot file script still works. I should probably set up an installer for Zed Shell in my dot files as well. What's in this one? Old directory. Create the backup. Change the directory for all the files. Move the existing files. All right. Chmod plus x dot make dot sh dot make dot sh. Okay, second time's the charm. Let's quit Tmux. My Tmux config is apparently completely bonked. Tmux.conf, I think it is. Set option G terminal overrides. Let's turn this one off. My default shell is Zed Shell here, so I need to actually install Zed Shell. So this just turned into how I set up a Linux a Mint VM stream, a very sloppy one. That's okay. This can all be fixed. Install wget and curl. Then we'll install Zed Shell, and then we'll either wget or curl down omyzsh. Okay, let's switch shells to the default of Zed Shell. I think I can do a subshell and say which ZSH. See what happens. Nice, so now we have Zed Shell back. Why didn't that work? Chain shell -s user bin zsh user Well, I don't know why my shell environment variable is set to bash, but okay. Getting very close. Let's install omyzsh. Let's use wget. While that's going, we can probably trash the guest additions, or eject it anyway. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Go into my dot files, run the make command again, close, open it back up. Okay, last thing I need to do is install Vundle. Once Vundle's installed, we will have a proper editor. Network is pretty backed up right now. Then I think the bundle command to install plugins in Vim is just plugin install, if I recall correctly. Network is super slow. Most of these are extremely small plugins. Nerd tree is probably the largest. Maybe color schemes. All right, while that's going, might as well tweak the terminal while those get installed. Darker. Warmer. So when you run plugin install with Bundle, I guess I can talk about what's happening here is in the vimrc, these lines which say plugin, Bundle will look for GitHub repos at these paths, so user screw loose and then the repo is nerd tree. And then Bundle will actually go out and clone those repositories into the directory it manages for plugins, and those get used as plugins in Vim. So I'm pretty sure Bundle's a Tim Pope's plugin manager. There's also another one called Pathogen, I think, if I remember correctly. I guess while that's going, I can look at this stuff. Vim Pathogen, is that what it's called? Oh, this is another Tim Pope plugin. Tim Pope is like the master of Vim plugins, obviously. This is not the Vim Bundle versus Pathogen. It is Pathogen. So maybe Pathogen is Tim Pope's and Bundle is not Tim Pope's. I use Surround, which is another nice plugin for changing the basically changing any cars that surround strings. So it's really useful for surrounding text with anything else. The key binding for surrounding stuff is YSIW, like you surround it with. So you surround it with, and then double quotes, for instance. I don't use Fugitive, although it looks like another good plugin. Sensible defaults. All right, while that's also going, what we can do is we can find the UCI chess standard protocol. So the whole reason I had to do multi-processing, I guess to get back to the chess engine itself while the setup is going, is because the engine must always be able to receive input from standard in even while thinking. So that's why we have currently two processes running, one to handle the input from the user and one to run the engine itself. And the engine's just running in a loop, and if standard in dumps the user input to a queue, multiprocessing queue, that is shared between those two processes. I should have known Jedi Vim was going to be the biggest. Jedi Vim is a really nice plugin for documentation, if I recall. Using Jedi, which is an auto-completion engine. Actually, Jedi Vim is pretty useful for things like NumPy, where the library is huge, but the problem is that the first time you use Jedi on any module within NumPy, it takes a long time, like up to 10 or 15 seconds sometimes. All right, I think Vundle actually finished installing, which means that next time that I run Vim, so we'll start Tmux. Tmux is no longer broken. Well, actually it is sort of broken. All right, so we can fix that. That's probably in the Zed Shell RC. /home/river run. This is set up for... Okay. Source the Zed Shell RC. Alright. Home river run, blah blah blah. Unexpected token, line 31. Line 31 and line 39. It's on line 31. Alright, I don't need sonar cube stuff anyway. Don't need that. I don't need RVM. I also don't need Dino. Autoload command not found. Tools check for upgrade. Oh, this is actually an error in that. cd home river run. Oh my ZSH tools check for upgrade. That's interesting. Anyway, it looks like we're back in action. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll come back here, we'll pip install -e dot install wake engine itself. Nice. Okay, finally we're back in action. So E2, E4, E7, E5. Okay, let's see if I can actually get the engine to print out the moves it can find. I do have move generations, so what we'll do is we will Python So one thing I can do is in position.py, let's see what we can do here. So I have this little sentinel in place just for when the UI needs to be updated. If the queue is not empty, then we clear the screen, we get the queue, and then we try to parse the move. We use the engine parser to parse the input, and the way that that is working is in UCI parser, I think. This was a little bit involved. Basically, just match this regular expression, which is a pretty weak regular expression, but for instance, I think I had a version of the regex that checked as to whether or not the pawn was on the 7th before it tried to do a promotion. Anyway, where's this translate promote? Okay, anyway, we parse the move and return that we have a, we actually return a command, which is a new instance of a UCI move. Which is just a DTO, which has whether or not it's valid, if it is a move, and the move itself. Let's head back into game. Not FEN. Alright, so if the queue's not empty, get the move, try and parse it. If it's not valid, then check if it's another command. So that's the other thing. Basically, if it's not a valid UCI move, then we then check to see if it's another valid UCI command. So there are a bunch of UCI commands, which I probably won't get all into right now, but the standard shows all of the moves. So actually I did write a class that parses out all of the UCI commands, or at least most of them. So you can say things like info time, info PV, info score, info refutation. There are a bunch of them. So far the only one I implemented was quit, just to make sure that we could actually quit. And that puts a kill sentinel on the queue. And then obviously the queue checks to see what it pulls off, and if it is the kill sentinel, then we run system.exit, which we can see here. This just tries to gracefully stop the processes. So I think if I type quit, yeah, quit is the kill signal, and it closes all the processes gracefully. I should probably put a, I don't know if it's non-UCI compliant to put a confirmation dialog there, but from a user experience perspective, it seems, although user isn't really going to be using the terminal to interact with the chess engine like this. Okay, happy to see the GUI working on the Mint terminal. Alright, so let's go back up here, run in UCI mode, if not sentinel, if not move, if move result is checkmate, print checkmate, set the game being over to true. I probably need to put something on the sysqueue to say that the game is over. I don't think that UCI expects the engine process to stop even after the game is over though. So we'll have to look at that. Anyway, ultimately we append self.history with the move result FEN at the moment. That's not a UCI thing, that's just how I decided to keep track of state. So we can always rebuild the position on object from an FEN. We set sentinel to false, so when the loop continues the next time around, it prints out the new UI representation and sets sentinel back to true. Okay, what I would like to do as well is print out the moves that the engine knows about. We will resize pane right 20. Okay. And then we'll split this. And then on the top one, I'll go into position.py. Not intend to do that. Okay, so then down here, oh, do you know what? I bet I'm on a different, I bet the latest changes are also on a separate branch. Let's find out real quick. Yeah, I'm on search branch. And I got rid of this sentinel nonsense. Still needs to finish coming out. Okay, evaluate position. All right, this is starting to look more familiar now. All right, so E2, E4. Nice, okay, so that's right. So the engine actually starts printing out the possible moves it has, and at this point it'll be in the next stream, but the idea is that we want to look through the tree of possible moves. So this is ply, the first ply. So we want to look through, and it's only part of the first ply. We want to look through, let's say, like to start, let's just say we want to look through 3 moves deep for every possible move in the tree without any type of pruning or any type of optimization, and without the quiescence move generation, all that stuff. Just do brute force 3 moves deep and rank by material. All right, let me think about this. We have to implement negamax basically. So that will be the next topic. And I think I started implementing negamax. I pulled out engine, generate all legal moves, search. All right, here's a negamax implementation in Python. It is recursive, I believe. Yeah, this is recursive, so we call self.search. I believe that the idea with negamax is that it's like a minimax algorithm where the best move for your opponent is to minimize the quality of your position. So your move should be a move which, for instance, if we just have one heuristic, it's material. So you have, 20 possible moves. With only the material heuristic, your best move is the one which doesn't lose material. So your best moves are the ones that don't lose material. Your opponent's best moves on the following move are the ones which minimize the amount of material that you have, I suppose. And so what does this algorithm look like? Returns a position evaluation, which right now is just going to be a score. Everything that I'm doing here is going to be based purely on heuristics like material balance. Probably later things like passed pawn evaluation, bishop pair, king safety. There are a whole bunch of metrics that we could kind of evaluate concretely. All right, so we memoize the color, and then if depth 0 or node is leaf, we return self.evaluate. So this happens at the bottom of the search. I guess it's DFS. Max score is equal to -infinity for child and node children. So we're gonna conceive of the graph of positions, well, as a graph. So for every possible move, so the children will be possible moves. Max score is equal to the maximum value either of max score, which starts out as -infinity, or the negative of self.search for that child node, minus a depth for the other color, dot score. So this is a recursive function. And then evaluate right now is just returning evaluator.evaluate for a position and a color. So it's zero sum, meaning that we can, and the reason that we can use negamax here is it's taking advantage of the fact that a move is equivalently good for white, let's say, as it is bad for black, and vice versa. Do I have somewhere where I actually build the position or the graph? Let's see. It's been a while since I looked at this code, or it feels like it has been. Alright, so maybe that's in position.py. No. Alright, so where is search actually implemented? Or where is engine actually implemented? Engine imports position. Maybe in game.py, do we have engine? Yeah, wake engine. Hey, what's up, the Bayless Code? Thanks for the message. Do I have any plans for hosting a Vue and .NET Singular courses on your learning platform since you have a course combined? Yes, that's a really good idea. And I'm working on a set of courses right now called Stacked, which basically contains like all the same app idea. So it's like a CMS. And then we look at how to build the same app using different backends and different front ends. So the idea is that you can pick, like say you wanted to learn Vue with Express. So you pick the Vue module and then you pick the Express module, or you pick the .NET module and the Angular module. But right now I'm working on the Vue and .NET portions of that course, and then I'll extend it from there. And that gives kind of a nice way to, like, I think, to learn a new piece of a stack just by having a common app that you can build around with different stack combinations. But it's good to see you, and thanks for the comment. Self.engine.generate all legal moves. So that's where evaluate position is coming in. The other thing I could do here is, rather than print every move, is in engine, I wonder if I could yeah, no problem. Bayless, what frameworks are you interested in? I'm really tired. I apologize if I'm not making any sense. Let's do generate all legal moves. It'd be nice to actually bring back the whole position for this, by the way. Self.generate pollen moves for the position, and this returns all the moves. This is extending this moves list and bringing it back. Generate pawn moves is well, thanks for dropping in. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna wrap things up now. So I went almost 2 hours. I'm super tired, but at least we got this running on Mint. And for future streams, I'll have Mint already set up, so we won't have to look at that again. And then hopefully off stream, I will make some more progress on the multiprocessing aspect, which is off to a good start, but there's a few things that I need to check out and fix. Nice. .NET Angular and how it works with other front ends. Yeah, for sure. So the very next course that'll come out is actually like a .NET CMS with a .NET 5 web API backend that you could use for any front end, as well as Let's see, and how it works. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Well, .NET 5 is super similar to .NET 3, .NET Core 3, and yeah, that'll be one of the very next courses, so stay tuned for that. That'll be out before the end of this month, probably before, what's today? Today's the 6th, today's the 5th. It'll be out like the 3rd week of January, and there'll be a shorter version on YouTube, so that'll be totally free, obviously, on YouTube. And if you're interested, the premium course will just go like super deep. It's going to be like a 20-hour course. So, but thanks. Alright, y'all, gonna end this stream. Thanks for joining me. Sorry for the issues with Mint and not all that much chess coding today. But next stream will be a little bit more solid and I'll be caught up on sleep. Hope y'all are having a good start to your new year, and I'll catch you soon.